Four Knights of the Apocalypse chapter 189 is officially out, and with this we get the beginning of Balin versus Gawain. And this fight was honestly fantastic so far, and based on how this is progressing, hopefully this fight will last another 2 to 3 chapters, because Balin has been set up to be such a powerful threat, and we haven't yet to see Gawain go all out in a fight since pre-time skip. And right now she's basically at full charge, so I cannot wait to see how Gawain will deal with Balin and his seemingly invincibility. I just cannot wait to see this, and Gawain is definitely taking this fight seriously right off the bat, while still giving herself the usual sense of bravado. And we got some bits of Balin that we are getting built up back from a few chapters ago when we figured out his identity as Escanor's brother, and the finale of this chapter makes us truly believe that we might get a Balin-Gawain confrontation coming forward. But before we jump right into the chapter, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps, and it shows you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel and shows you want to see more. I am so close to 30k subscribers. Once we hit 30k subscribers, I will begin my retrospective review of the 7 Deadly Sins manga. So when that occurs, I will start doing those reviews, and you guys will end up seeing my thoughts on the story of 7 Deadly Sins' manga on a regular basis alongside my usual chapter reviews. It's something I've been wanting to do for a while, and I am really close to reaching that subscriber milestone. Also, if you don't know, I have a second channel called GW Comics where I talk about American comic books. Right now, I'm primarily focusing on the absolute DC titles. I'm going to throw in some Marvel back in here and there. But for right now, I'm thinking of sticking closely to DC titles, primarily absolute DC, because those have been a lot of fun as well. So if you like DC, if you like comics, go and check out my channel. I am almost at 500 subscribers, so that's really cool. I've only had that channel for a few months, and I'm really close to the first real milestone for it. So I would really appreciate if you guys check it out, subscribe. It's a passion project and something I would love to do on the side alongside my usual content. But with all that out of the way, let's head straight into chapter 189 of Four Knights of the Apocalypse, titled Gawain versus Balin. And the cover image is Gawain floating, laying her arm on a pillow while reading a, I assume, magic tome, while drinking some tea or coffee. Just relaxing and chilling. Honestly, really nice image. I enjoy this. But let's start off with the chapter directly from how things progress with the previous chapter, with Nazianz being kissed back to consciousness by Percival thanks to Nazianz's true love and feelings for Percival. Balin announces that it looks like that Percival's group is attending to try and revive Nazianz, as Theodora alongside his purgatory beasts are walking off the arena. And despite getting kind of a chill down his spine after seeing Percival getting all serious, Theodora, obviously since he won, just laughs and says, "Oh, his friends, huh? That's hilarious. They might betray him, but they sure won't help him." And as Theodora walks past Balin, Balin ends up saying, "Yeah, the way I see it, friendship is just an excuse for the weak to huddle together." As Theodora's like, "Oh, glad we're on the same page." But it's then that Balin says, "But you're not the man who can decide that." It's then that Theodora shockingly looks back and sees that Nazianz is alive and well, conscious, surrounded by their friends. And I like how the announcer, aka Gother, saying, "We thought Nazianz was dead for a while there, but now we've got a miraculous recovery on our hands." As then Theodora just angrily walks away, with Percival staring off in the distance. And it's then that the entire group kind of get ready to leave the arena so that Gawain can get ready for her match. As it's then on walks by Nazianz, asking how long Nazianz has been in love with Percival. And Nazianz is upfront with it and fully admits their feelings for Percival, saying, "Probably since I met him, after he saved my home and Ordo." As An essentially says, "Oh, then I guess I owe you an apology then." Which even Nazianz isn't sure why that's the case. As An actually flashes us back to Sistana when she gave Percival mouth-to-mouth to try and give Percival the medicine that Nazianz developed to heal him back when he was, dead the first time, or I guess second time. But An realizes that her doing that, now knowing that Nazianz seemingly had developed feelings for Percival right before they all met, was probably a bit much for Nazianz, and Nazianz probably didn't like that. But Nazian says, oh, don't worry, it wasn't like that. It was more of a shock to me in that instance. With An saying, well, it was a shock for me too, that's for sure. Obviously, the kiss just now. And before Nazian can say anything, An actually looks back with a smile saying, anyway, I'm so glad that you didn't die. If my rival dies on me, I lose all my motivation. As Nazian smiles, as An says, okay, Percival, we're going back to the stands. Now, really quick, I like this. This is really wholesome and just enjoyable because An is also being fully upfront with Nazians about her feelings, now that Nazians was upfront about their feelings. And by doing this, neither of them holding anything back, lying, An's powers do not activate. And I like that. They're being upfront with each other, they know each other's feelings for Percival, and they still respect each other, not going to undermine each other, or feel, a type of real, animosity towards each other, which I like. Whenever there's love triangles in, especially shonen series, there's always this drama that has to be done for, drama's sake, for relationships and romance and stuff like that. But right now, with how Nakaba is doing this, at least for the time being, because they're all really good friends and they kind of had inklings and stuff of feelings for Percival and how close that these two are, An is alright with this essentially because I want to get Percival, you want to get Percival, we're kind of rivals at this point, but An still cares for Nazians. They're still really good and close friends, they're best friends, so I like this. It's not pointless drama for drama's sake right now, and I am all happy for it because I feel like they could have muddied up this particular romance story. It also fully keeps open the An or Nazian's relationship pattern for Percival. But now with that little side tangent out of the way, back to the chapter. After An says that they're gonna go back to the stands, we see an image of a pissed off Percival holding his sword saying he's gonna make him pay. My lord, Percival, ever since the time skip, has just exuded aura in so many instances, and we had multiple chapters of just Percival just aura farming at this point. This is an aura farming Percival right now, and I'm excited for this because now Percival's definitely we're going to be ready for this fight with Theodora, aiming to make the guy pay for what he did to Nazian, so I'm excited to see that. And obviously, An and Nazians are kind of confused and potentially a bit concerned by Percival's obvious choice of words. But with that being said, the first fight of the quarterfinals in the B block is finally going to begin, Gawain against Balin, as the two of them meet in the arena. With Gawain saying, hope you're ready, muscle-bound freak. I'll say it again, I can knock your kind out with just one finger. With Balin laughing a bit saying, all that arrogance, I like it. But it all sounds like a bluff to me. With Gawain saying, yeah right, with a nice snickering smile on her face, as the fight is about to begin. And as the fight begins, we cut in briefly with Beltrop as he's viewing the fight from his stand, saying, I hate to see this matchup. That girl seems capable, but she seems very outmatched. As even Gulder saying, yeah, it's true. Balin, he's hard to gauge, as Hauser is definitely concerned for Gawain having to face off against Balin, but Pelio has faith in Gawain as a knight of prophecy. And then Balin charges right at Gawain with his blade, trying to slash at her. She manages to evade the attack, as now she begins to think she needs to be absolutely certain that magic won't work on him. Balin then appears right behind Gawain as she then dodges from his slash again, as she ends up beginning a chant to cast a massive spell. And this is a very long chant. As for the next couple of pages, we see Gawain dodge multiple slash attacks and barrages from Balin as she continues to chant her spell. He then grazes Gawain's left arm, and she's then flung flying into the arena. And that shows just how much brute strength Balin has, just to knock Gawain out of the air like that from grazing her arm, not even really landing a full-blown clean hit on it, so that is insane. But Gawain jumps out of the dust cloud after hitting the ground and launches her attack Explosive Fire, as a giant fireball hits and engulfs Balin in an instant as he seemingly begins to get set ablaze. But Balin is just standing there, not affected, as Gawain's fire magic seems to not be working. Gawain ends up saying that since fire won't work, and if the Holy Knight Captain's magic failed, wind is definitely off the table. Two elements out of the way. I need to find an element that hits home even a little and batter him with it. And then Balin jumps out of the fire, still engulfed in a bit of the flame. But it's then snowflakes begin to appear as Gawain then launches another spell, perma-frozen wall, encasing Balin in a giant ice glacier. And this art looks freaking fantastic. I love it. And it also shows that Gawain, with that long chant, she was getting ready to cast multiple spells. So 2 big spells right off the bat, back to back. That's why she needed that long chant. Now, Balin is encased in the glacier, but Gawain ends up saying, don't worry, I'm not going to kill you. But as close as that is to absolute zero, you'll be too frozen to go on. But as she says that, Balin just flexes and shatters the ice around him, shocking Gawain, as she then has to dodge again as he tries to slash at her once more. Gawain then says, in that case, she then launches Blitz Javelin, a massive lightning attack on Balin. As she hopes that Balin is done yet, but then Balin just jumps out of the dust cloud from the lightning into the air, as he has a serious look on his face, dead set on trying to slash her in half. As now that seems to be 4 of the prime elements that we've seen so far that don't work against Balin, as even Beltrup says that Balin is truly a menace. Gawain then shouts, heed my call, right when Balin is about to slash down on Gawain to what he might think is a finishing blow. And as everybody is in shock as to what just occurred, Balin ends up having a bit of a smirk, saying, what's that thing, little lady? As in the next page, we see Gawain in her buff form holding the divine sword Rita, as she used that to block Balin's slash attack. As she says, this is the sacred sword Rita, a short blade bearing the name of the woman beloved by the sun. And man, I just love this single page image. Another aura farming instance of Gawain just looking like an absolute unit. We all knew Gawain was going to go buff in this fight, but this was way quicker than I was expecting, and I'm very glad for it, because now she summons Rita, and it is going to be a sword fight. Hopefully Gawain has been practicing her swordsmanship over the 2 years to really show her strength and growth in combat outside of magic or just bare fist fighting. But yeah, this also shows the strength of Gawain's muscle form to be able to block that swing from Balin. Even if he's not going 100%, that was definitely doing a lot of damage. That is a very big hit with Balin's sword. And as Gawain smiles with confidence, she says, how about we kick off the second round? And I love that smirk of Gawain with just oozing with confidence. But instead we cut back to Beltrup, as Gother is noticing that something might be the matter with him. But Beltrup says, this power I feel from that sword, is that what it is? Or is it that girl's doing? Why is my old wound aching all over again? As he grabs on to his right arm, the same arm that Escanor snapped in half when they were children, when Escanor first gained the power of sunshine. And that's how we end the chapter. Hoo boy! First off, I love the choreography in this fight with how Gawain is just constantly trying to dodge every attack that Balin is throwing at her, as she's continuously trying to chant so she can crave multiple different elemental attacks and spells back to back. She did a huge fire attack, a huge ice attack, a huge lightning attack. So that's 3 elements out of the gate, and we already know that he's immune to, wind. So that's 4 primary elements that, heck, Merlin has used multiple times against an opponent. So Gawain has to come up with something else. And right now, since Balin is fighting with a sword, Gawain is definitely fighting with her sword back in her buff form, hopefully trying to see if physical damage will be able to do something against Balin in this instance. And maybe as a way to continuously test things out. But I love the end of this chapter because this is definitely more, in-your-face stuff by Nakaba in terms of Gawain being related to Escanor. We all know that she's related to Escanor in some way, shape, or form, whether it just be her power of dawn being a variation of sunshine, since it's a part of her. It could be the sword, or it could be something else, like the whole Merlin made her a homunculus theory and all that stuff, for all we know. But either way, Balin feeling phantom pain from seeing Gawain fight right now, full force, and the divine sword. This shows multiple things. Perhaps he saw Escanor a long time ago, before when he was a member of the 7 Deadly Sins, or maybe it's just the fact that this energy of that Gawain is throwing off, this aura, as she's in her buff form, in this instance with the sword combined, it's just making him think of Escanor, even though he can't recall it, and I love that. This is definitely setting up the whole thing with Arthurian legend, that the Green Knight and Gawain are supposed to face off. And despite Tristan having a connection to the Green Knight, Beltrup, with the fake Isolde, Gawain in this instance is fully being set up to fight Beltrup, and I cannot wait to see how this will play out. If we'll end the arc with a confrontation with Beltrup before everybody leaves and we get Tristan back. But I am so excited. This is how we do a tournament arc in enemy territory especially. And I think Nakba has definitely learned from his previous experiences with 7 Deadly Sins. It has made a really good tournament arc that's so far so much better than the 2 Visal fighting tournaments that we had in the original 7 Deadly Sins manga and anime. So I'm very excited to see where this lays off, and this is just another outstanding chapter. Now, I forgot to lead with this at the beginning of the review, but there is a break next week for the manga, and the week after that, it is Golden Week, so the magazine as a whole is going to be on break. So we have 2 weeks of no Four Knights of the Apocalypse content. So what I'm going to do is that for next week, that is where I'm going to do my full comment discussion video to replace a chapter review. And since it's replacing a chapter review, I'll try and make it a bit longer to make up for the lack of a chapter, so maybe I'll make it act like a double review. Now the week after that, I'll figure something out. It can be a discussion video, a theory, or a ranking. I'll see what I'm going to do with the following week before chapter 190 comes out in May. But yeah, what did you guys think of this chapter? Leave your thoughts, opinions, theories, and speculations in the comments section so we can get this discussion going, and I will pick some for the next video going over your comments. Once more, if you haven't already, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps, and it shows you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel and shows you want to see more. Now with all that said and done, hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you all have an awesome day.